So let's do question number 26. So this question is based on percentages. So if you have gone through the basis of percentages, as well as if you have done the questions we discussed during the class sessions, this question would be very easy for you. Okay. So let's read the question first. So P salary is 20% lower than Q salary, which is 20% lower than R salary. Okay, there are three terms here. One is P, then you have Q salary, and then there are R salary. There are three terms here, okay? And there is a connection between these three. And by how much percentage is R salary more than P salary? That's a question. So percentage more. The question is asking you to calculate the percentage more between two quantities. That's it, okay? So the best approach that you could use in this question is plugging in values. So that is the best approach. You could easily solve in this question in less than 2 minutes. Okay. So plugging in values is the best approach you could use in this question. So let's start with, okay, first we have decided that we're going to use plug-in values here. Okay. And next question is going to be, okay, which value will you plug in here? Will you start with P or Q or R? That is also very important. So for that, you need to consider the fact that, okay, let's start with P, okay? So P's value is based on Q. So it's given P salary is 20% lower than Q salary. So that means if you know Q salary, it is easy for you to calculate P, right? Similarly, if you consider Q, it is based on R. See, Q salary, which is 20% lower than R, right? So the idea is if you start with R, okay, it is easy for you to calculate Q, and once you know Q, it's easy for you to calculate P. So logically, the best value you could plug in here for is R, and it is 100. So 100 is the best value because you are dealing with percentages, so it's easy to calculate it. So you can plug in any values, that's completely fine, but the value that's going to make your calculations very easy is going to be 100. Okay, why? Because it's easy to calculate any percentage of 100. Let's say 10% of 100 is what? 10. 20% of 100 is 20. So that is the advantage you have when you plug in 100. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assume that our salary is 100. So I hope all of you are clear why we started with R. That is also a very important point. If you start with P, it's completely fine, but you will get the answer for sure, but it's going to take more time compared to this. Calculation wise, it's going to be a little bit complicated. It won't be that direct. So that's the reason you need to use the clues given in the question to figure out where you should start with. Okay. So we are starting with R. So our salary is 100 rupees or 100, whatever it is. Okay. $100 something. I'm assuming it as R is 100. Okay. Now let's start with finding out Q. What is the value of Q? Q is 20% lower than our salary. What is 20% of 100? 20. So 20 lower, 20 less. So Q is going to be 80 here. 80 rupees is the salary. Now you see how easy it is, the calculation, right? So now you deal with what? P. P is 20% lower than Q salary. What is 20% of 80? So always you can use the base rule of 10. 10% of any number is very easy to calculate. You need to divide that number by 10. Okay. So what is 10% of 80? Which is nothing but 8. You divide this number by 10. 8. So 20% of 80 is going to be how much? See, if 10% is 8, 20 is what? Double of this, which is 16. So you don't need to write it down, this calculation. So these calculations should be done in your mind. Okay. So P is going to be 20% lower than Q salary. So 20% of 80 is 16. 16 less, you subtract 16. So it's going to be 764. So P's value is 64. So now you have the value for P, Q and R. So it's easy for you to compare with any of the two values. Okay. And the question is asking by how much percentage is R salary. So you're comparing R salary with P salary. So that is, question is asking 100 is what percentage more than 64. That's it. If you're able to solve it, you're done. 100 is what percentage more than 64. Percentage more. So to calculate percentage more, it's very easy. So what we need to do first is you calculate what's the value more upon you are comparing with the base value. Okay. You multiply by that by 100. This will give you the percentage more. Okay, let's start with that. So value more, 100 is how much value more than 64? It's nothing but 36 more, right? And what is your base value? Here, I think some of you might have the confusion. What is the base value? What value you are comparing with? Okay, there is a simple shortcut that you could use. which value is coming after that. So this is the keyword, than what? See, this is your base value. So which value is coming after that? That is the value you're comparing with. This is your base value. Okay, very important point. Okay, so whenever you have two comparisons, which value is going to come after that? That is your base value. That's the value you're comparing with. So you have 64 in the denominator. So 36 upon 64 times 100. This will give you the answer. So there are one way you can solve it is you can simplify it further. That is one way of solving it. Okay, so 36 I'm dividing by let's say 4. Yeah, 9. This is 60. Again, you can simplify by 4. This is 4. This is 25. So 9 times 25 is 225 upon 4, which is nothing but 54, 56. Yeah, 56.25. This is going to be the answer. 56.25. So this is one way of solving it. But actually, in these type of questions, you might not need to do the entire calculation. You can approximate what is going to be your answer because you have 4 answer choices. We just need to compare it, right? That's it. So the final step, I'm going to do it one more time without doing any calculation, how you can use your mind calculation to approximate and find out what is the exact answer. Okay. The final answer here is 36 upon 64. This is what I need to find times 100. If this is what I need to simplify, right? So this is the answer choices. They have some decimals. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to find out some base values here. Okay. Let's say this is 50. Then I'm putting it as 60. Okay. So that it's easy to calculate 50% and 60%. So if you're able to find C50 as well as 60, you can eliminate the answer choices easily. Got it? So that is the idea. We're going to use it. Some questions that will be more helpful to you. Okay. So 50% of 64. What is 50% of 64? 50% is very easy to calculate. You take half of it. See, 50% of 64 is half of this is 32. So your answer here is 36. So if it was 32, your answer is 50%. So 36 means your answer is greater than 50. So option A is eliminated. Okay. So now I'm going to compare like how to calculate 50, 60%. It's easy. 50% I already know it's half, which is 32. And I know that 10%, which is very easy to calculate. I have done it before, right? I've showed you before how to calculate 10%. You divide this number by 10. That's at 6 point something. 6.4 to be exact. So that means I could easily say 60% is nothing but you add them up. It's going to be 38 point something. You don't need to be exact value. You just need a comparison. So here what we're going to find is 36 is what percent of 64, right? So 60% is 38.4. So 36 has to be less than 60%. Clearly, I could eliminate all other options which is greater than or equal to 60. So option C and D eliminated. Your answer is got to be option B. This is one way of solving it. And again, you don't need to write these things down. Okay. So these simple approximation techniques you should do in your mind. Like it's just a mind calculation you could do to get to the answer, and it won't take that much time as well.